The ultimatum. The galactic hegemony had dominated interstellar politics for over 3,000 years. Their method was simple and effective. Identify emerging spacefaring species, demonstrate overwhelming military superiority, and establish a protection agreement that amounted to little more than glorified extortion. Hundreds of species across the Orion Arm paid their dues without question, believing resistance was futile against the ancient coalition of the 12 founding races. Earth had achieved faster-than-light travel only 30 years ago. Those 3 decades had been spent in cautious exploration, establishing a handful of colonies on habitable worlds within 20 light-years of Sol. Humanity's expansion had been deliberate and careful, aware that they were newcomers in a cosmos they barely understood. The first contact came without warning. 3 massive hegemony vessels appeared at the edge of the solar system, bypassing all early warning systems as if they were primitive technology. Their message was simple: prepare to receive the Galactic Hegemony delegation. Coordinates for the meeting follow. Admiral Helena Chen stared at the massive alien vessels through the viewscreen of Earth Defense Station Sentinel. They could have attacked without warning, she said quietly to General Marcus Rivera beside her. This is a show of force, not diplomacy. The Security Council is assembling in Geneva, Rivera replied, his face impassive, but his eyes betraying concern. They'd want us both there. 3 days later, the hegemony delegation arrived in Geneva. Their shuttle descended from orbit with unnecessary flourish, plasma thrusters scorching the landing pad as if to demonstrate their technological superiority. The delegation consisted of representatives from 4 species: the reptilian Krath, the crystalline Vectari, the insectoid Sarlacc, and leading them, the imposing humanoid Praetorians. Ambassador Derax of the Praetorians stood nearly 8 feet tall, his metallic skin reflecting the lights of the United Earth Council chamber as he strode confidently to the speaker's platform. Unlike many alien species, the Praetorians had no trouble with human languages, their vocal apparatus capable of producing perfect English. Esteemed leaders of Earth, Derax began, his voice resonating with authority that had cowed hundreds of civilizations before. The Galactic Hegemony welcomes humanity to the interstellar community. The words were diplomatic, but his tone carried unmistakable condescension. For 3 millennia, the hegemony has maintained order and stability across this sector of the galaxy. This peace is maintained through cooperation and contribution from all member species. He paused, his silver eyes scanning the assembly. It is now time for humanity to take its place in this established order. UN Secretary General Amara Okafor leaned forward. We appreciate the hegemony's welcome, Ambassador. Earth is eager to establish peaceful relations with all galactic civilizations. Excellent, Derax smiled without warmth. Then you will have no objection to the Standard Protection Agreement. With a gesture, he activated a holographic display showing a lengthy document. The terms are simple. Earth will provide an annual tribute of 10% of its global production of rare minerals, 5% of agricultural output, access to human genetic material for scientific purposes, and a workforce contribution of 500,000 individuals for hegemony projects. The chamber fell silent. Secretary General Okafor's expression remained neutral, though her knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of her desk. In exchange, Derax continued, the hegemony will provide protection from hostile forces, limited access to Level 3 technologies, and trading privileges with established hegemony worlds. He closed the hologram with another gesture. You have 48 hours to formalize your acceptance. This is standard procedure for all emerging civilizations. Admiral Chen, seated in the second row, studied the other alien delegates. The Sarlacc's representative's antennae twitched with what she interpreted as anticipation. The Vectari's crystalline form pulsed with soft light. The Krath representative simply stared, unblinking, reptilian eyes fixed on the human delegates. Ambassador, Okafor replied carefully, this is an unexpected proposal that requires thorough consideration. 48 hours seems insufficient for such a momentous decision. Dirax's expression hardened. This is not a negotiation, Secretary General. It is notification of how things work in the galaxy. The terms are standard. All civilizations contribute to the greater stability of the hegemony. And if we require more time to consider? Asked the Chinese representative. The Krath representative hissed something to Dirax, who nodded before responding. Reluctance is interpreted as resistance. Resistance has consequences. I suggest you use the time provided wisely. With that, the delegation departed, leaving the human representatives in stunned silence. As the chamber doors closed, the emergency session began. For 12 hours, Earth's leaders debated behind sealed doors. Intelligence reports were shared, military assessments evaluated, and secret scientific breakthroughs discussed. Admiral Chen presented the military analysis. Their technology appears to be approximately 2 centuries ahead of our public capabilities. Their shields would withstand our conventional weapons, and their faster-than-light capabilities surpass our commercial drives. Public capabilities, repeated the Russian president slowly. And what of Project Prometheus? Dr. Eliza Wong, head of the United Earth Advanced Research Division, stepped forward. Prometheus is operational, as are the Aurora facilities on Mars, Europa, and Titan. The Sentinel fleet is at 80% completion. Secretary General Okafor nodded. So we have options. We do, confirmed General Rivera, but we need to understand what we're dealing with. These aren't the first aliens we've encountered. The room grew quiet. For 10 years, humanity had kept its most significant discovery secret. Evidence that the hegemony had systematically suppressed or destroyed civilizations that refused their terms. Earth's first extraterrestrial contact had not been with the hegemony, but with the refugees of a species called the Archaea, whose world had been devastated after they refused the hegemony's demands. The Archaea had provided crucial technological insights before continuing their journey to the galactic rim. Their warning had spurred Earth to accelerate its military research while maintaining a facade of typical development. The Artemis Protocol is ready, stated President Santiago of the North American Union. We've prepared for this day for 7 years. 47 hours later, the hegemony delegation returned to receive Earth's answer. The chamber was more crowded this time, with military personnel stationed discreetly throughout. Ambassador Dirax seemed pleased, clearly expecting capitulation as hundreds of worlds had offered before. Secretary General, he began confidently, I trust you have prepared the formal acceptance documents. Okafor stood, her posture straight, her voice calm. Ambassador Dirax, representatives of the galactic hegemony, I thank you for your patience. Earth has indeed formulated its response. Dirax nodded expectantly. The nations of Earth, united in purpose and resolve, have a single-word answer to your proposed arrangement. Okafor paused, her gaze unwavering. No. The chamber remained silent. Dirax blinked, his metallic features registering something rarely seen on a Praetorian face. Surprise. Perhaps, he said slowly, there is a translation error. This is not an optional arrangement. There is no error, Ambassador. Admiral Chen stated, stepping forward. Humanity respectfully declined your offer of protection and the associated demands. The Krath representative hissed angrily. The Xarlax's antennae went rigid, and the Vectari's crystalline form darkened ominously. Dirax's expression shifted from surprise to cold anger. You misunderstand your position, humans. This is not a negotiation. The hegemony does not make requests. It establishes order. Your acceptance is assumed. Your compliance is expected. Secretary General Okafor remained unmoved. Nevertheless, our answer remains no. Then you have chosen conflict, Dirax stated flatly. The consequences will be severe and swift. You will serve as an example to others who might harbor similar delusions of independence. As the delegation turned to leave, Admiral Chen spoke again. Before you go, Ambassador, we have something to show you. She nodded to a technician, who activated a holographic display. The display showed images from deep space, massive shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt, advanced defense platforms in the outer solar system, and a fleet of warships unlike anything Earth had publicly acknowledged possessing. "We have been preparing for this meeting for some time," Ambassador Chen explained calmly. "The refugees of Arkai were quite helpful in explaining how the hegemony operates." For the first time, genuine alarm crossed Dirax's face. "The Arkai are extinct," he said quickly. "No," corrected General Rivera. "They were scattered, not destroyed. And they found us before you did." Dirax stared at the humans with new understanding. "You have made a grave mistake. No single species can stand against the hegemony." Secretary General Okafor smiled for the first time. "We're counting on that, Ambassador. Please convey our response to your superiors. Earth does not pay tribute. Earth does not surrender its people as laborers. Earth stands free." As the delegation departed, Admiral Chen turned to her colleagues. "And now we prepare for their return." The reckoning. The hegemony's response came just 3 days later. A battle fleet of 30 vessels emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, their weapons already charged. High Commander Jovrak of the Krath led the punitive expedition, chosen specifically for his reputation for ruthless efficiency in subjugating resistant species. "No communications," he ordered his officers. "These humans have chosen to learn through demonstration rather than wisdom. Target their orbital defenses and major military installations. Standard suppression pattern." The hegemony vessels accelerated toward Earth, expecting minimal resistance. Their intelligence suggested that human military technology was primitive by comparison. Kinetic weapons, basic energy shields, and rudimentary faster-than-light drives. The campaign would be brief and devastating, followed by a more severe protection agreement. What they encountered instead defied all their intelligence assessments. As the hegemony fleet approached Mars orbit, they were met by a defensive grid that simply shouldn't have existed. Advanced gravitational sensors detected the approaching ships despite their stealth systems. Quantum-locked targeting arrays achieved perfect firing solutions within seconds. And then the real surprise emerged. Earth's Sentinel fleet, 87 warships of unmistakably human design, yet incorporating technologies the hegemony had believed were centuries beyond human capability. In the command center beneath Geneva, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. "Artemis Protocol is active," she announced. "All units are engaging according to plan." The first volley from Earth's defense platforms utilized phase-shifted plasma weapons, technology supposedly exclusive to the upper-tier hegemony species. 3 hegemony vessels were disabled immediately, their shields collapsing under the unexpected assault. Aboard his flagship, Commander Jovrak stared in disbelief at the damage reports. "Impossible," he hissed. "They can't have this technology. The Praetorians assured us." "Sir," interrupted his second-in-command, "we're detecting anomalous energy signatures from the human vessels. They're using quantum-folded shields and—" The officer paused in shock. "Sir, they have displacement drives." Displacement technology, the ability to temporarily shift a vessel into an adjacent dimensional space to avoid attacks, was supposed to be restricted to the 12 founding species of the hegemony. Its presence on human ships was not just surprising, it was heretical. "All vessels, regroup and prepare for concentrated assault," Jovrak ordered. "Target their flagship first." But the human fleet didn't engage as expected. Instead of a direct confrontation, they executed a series of coordinated jumps that positioned them throughout the hegemony formation. Before Jovrak could react, the human vessels unleashed a new weapon: quantum resonance disruptors that temporarily disabled the hegemony ship's primary systems without destroying them. On the bridge of the UES Defiance, Captain Maya Rodriguez watched her tactical display as the operation unfolded. "Phase 1 complete, Admiral," she reported to Chen. 17 hegemony vessels disabled. Minimal casualties on both sides. "Proceed to Phase 2, Chen ordered. and open a channel to Commander Jovrak. Jovrak's reptilian features filled the screen, his scales darkened with rage. "What trickery is this?" he demanded. "How do you possess these technologies?" Admiral Chen's response was calm. "There is no trickery, Commander, only preparation. The Archai weren't the only ones who warned us about the hegemony. We've had 17 different refugee species share their experiences over the past decade." Jovrak's eyes widened. 17. Impossible. "Your suppression isn't as thorough as you believe," Chen continued. "And now, a demonstration of why your approach has failed." She nodded to someone off-screen. "Captain Rodriguez, proceed." Throughout the solar system, concealed transmission arrays activated simultaneously, broadcasting on frequencies used by subjugated worlds throughout the sector. The message was simple: footage of the hegemony fleet being disabled by a supposedly primitive species, followed by information about Earth's willingness to share their defensive technologies with other oppressed civilizations. "You cannot do this," Jovrak growled, understanding immediately the implications. "The hegemony will." "The hegemony will do what?" Chen interrupted. "Send another fleet for us to disable. Your founding species have maintained control through fear and the illusion of invincibility. That illusion ends today." Within hours, the broadcast reached dozens of worlds. The reaction was immediate. On 7 planets, populations that had endured centuries of hegemony extraction rose up against their overseers. On 12 more, governments began quietly reaching out to Earth through secured channels, seeking alliance. In the hegemony's Central Council chamber on the Praetorian homeworld, emergency sessions convened as reports flooded in of unprecedented coordination among subjugated species. The humans hadn't just refused tribute. They had cracked the foundation of the entire system. 3 weeks later, a different kind of delegation arrived at Earth. This one comprised representatives from 23 species, all former tributaries of the hegemony. They came not to demand, but to propose. An alliance of free worlds, with shared defense and mutual respect. Among them was an elderly Archai, one of the refugees who had first warned humanity. Ambassador Kirivan bowed deeply to Secretary General Okafor as they met in the same chamber where Derax had delivered his ultimatum. "You have accomplished what we believed impossible," Kirivan stated, his translucent skin shimmering with emotion. "You stood against the hegemony and revealed their vulnerability." "We had help," Okafor acknowledged. "Knowledge shared by friends. And now we must plan for what comes next," added Admiral Chen. "The hegemony won't accept this challenge to their authority. They'll gather their forces and return." The representatives nodded in agreement. The Harlax ambassador, not the one who had accompanied Derax, but a representative of a resistance movement that had operated in secret for centuries, stepped forward. "Together, we have numbers they cannot match." She clicked through her translator. "What we lack is coordination and some of the advanced technologies, which we are prepared to share," confirmed Dr. Wang, "in exchange for your knowledge and resources." Over the following months, a new interstellar alliance took shape, not one built on intimidation and tribute, but on mutual defense and cooperation. Ships from 24 worlds gathered in the solar system, forming a combined fleet unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The hegemony's response was predictable. A massive armada, comprising ships from all 12 founding species, converged on the Sol system 6 months after Jovrak's failed expedition. 300 vessels, carrying enough firepower to reduce Earth to ash. But they found not one world standing alone, but a coalition of 35 formerly subjugated species, their combined fleet matching the hegemonies in size, if not in advanced technology. And at the center, Earth's Sentinel fleet, now expanded and incorporating innovations shared by their new allies. The battle that followed lasted just 14 hours. The hegemony forces, accustomed to overwhelming single opponents, found themselves outmaneuvered by the diverse tactics of the alliance. Ships from water-dwelling species attacked from unexpected vectors. Vessels built by silicon-based life forms operated in temperature extremes that disabled hegemony targeting systems. And through it all, the human-led command structure adapted and coordinated in ways the rigid hegemony hierarchy couldn't match. When the Praetorian flagship finally transmitted surrender terms, Admiral Chen insisted on a single condition. Representatives of all affected worlds would negotiate the new peace, not just the founding species of the hegemony. 1 month later, the Galactic Concordat was signed. The hegemony was disbanded, replaced by a federation where all member species held equal status. The tribute system was abolished, replaced by mutual defense agreements and fair trade protocols. In the newly established Council of Worlds on the neutral planet Nexus, Secretary-General Okafor addressed the first assembly of all recognized intelligent species in the sector. "We gather here not as rulers and subjects, not as advanced and primitive, but as equals," she declared. Earth did not stand alone against tyranny. We stood with the knowledge and courage of dozens of civilizations who dared to imagine something better. Ambassador Kirivan, now representing the restored Archai government, raised his hand in the traditional gesture of his people. The humans have a saying that guided their response to the hegemony's demands. I believe it captures the spirit of our new alliance. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Admiral Chen, standing at the back of the chamber, smiled as she watched representatives from worlds that had been enemies just months before engaging in earnest conversation. The galaxy had demanded tribute, and humanity had given something unexpected instead: a revolution. The stars would never be the same.